Pleasant morning to everyone. First, I'd like to express our sincerest gratitude to the organizers in Pharma Market for inviting us here in this event. For this morning, I'll be discussing very briefly on the export performance of the Philippines. As you may well be aware, the export performance can actually be improved further as we propagate and improve packaging here in the Philippines. So, over the last 3 quarters, for January to September 2022, Philippine exports have grown to about 4.7% compared to the same period last year. So, during the pandemic value, the Philippine merchandise exports is about 55.69 billion US dollars. And for the same month, January to September of 2022, it is now at 58.31 billion US dollars. So we have seen a bouncing back definitely of the Philippine exports in terms of our merchandise exports. If we are to compare it with the pre-pandemic values, we are also have seen a great increase. So the pre-pandemic values, we have pegged it at 2017 to 2019 on the average. The Philippine merchandise exports is at 52.56 billion US dollars. And compared to the same month of this year, we have seen a very good increase in terms of its value. So about 11% compared to the pre-pandemic value. So Philippine exports have indeed continuously been growing over the last few years. And if we are to ask what are the top contributors in terms of the total merchandise exports of the country, electronics remains to be the top export, which would have about 47.8% contribution to the total exports for January to September of this year. The next important thing to highlight, aside from the electronics, is that coconut oil is another important aspect of our export promotion. We have seen that the coconut oil in terms of Philippine exports has a contribution of 29.9% growth, with about 783 million US dollar increase in exports from the same period of last year. And this would tell you that this product would have a very big potential, not just the coconut oil, but the coconut product in general. This is something that can be seen as substantial because last year, the President has recently signed the Coconut Levy Fund, which is a very good funding source that would actually support our coconut farmers in terms of promoting and increasing our exports of coconut products. So that alone would be a catalyst for the Philippine export to continuously grow. And what now is the role of packaging? We're seeing that packaging, if we innovate our packaging, if we improve Philippine packaging of different products, we are definitely to be at par in terms of other produce that are available in the international market. In terms of the top markets that the Philippines have constantly been exporting to, based on the data that we have, the top 10 export markets are as follows. So USA remains to be the #1 export market, followed by Japan, China, Hong Kong, and Singapore respectively. One thing that we have to highlight here is that out of the top 10 markets that we have shown strong export growth, we are also posting very good numbers in terms of how we have been promoting our products respectively. So the Philippines definitely is doing very well in terms of our merchandise exports. If we now go into the second part of Philippine exports, which is the services export, it's another picture that we are seeing. the services export for the Philippines is also growing steadily. So generally, the Philippine export is seen to grow steadily over the next few years. And all of this can be attributed to different innovations that the Philippine manufacturing companies have engaged into. And all of this can continue and will definitely continue with the help of PROPAK. And PROPAK will definitely be another game changer for the Philippines as we continue to innovate and look for innovative solutions for Philippine packaging. So I hope that this event will be something that many of our manufacturing sector would really embrace, because right now, if we are to look at improving Filipino products, the quality is already there. We just really need to have better packaging, innovative packaging that will be addressing future questions in terms of sustainability and other environment concerns. The last thing I'd like to highlight is in terms of how consumers have been buying or purchasing, they're really looking into the sustainable component of packaging and how products are being presented. So I hope that with all of these things in place, we can definitely work together and continue to collaborate as we improve Philippine exports. And we hope that this event and venture that we'll be having is something that will indeed propel us to continuous growth to Philippine exports. Thank you very much and a pleasant morning to everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ilana, for sharing with us the exports news and updates in the Philippines. So moving on to our next guest speaker, may I call on Engineer Higinio Porte Jr., the President of the Philippine Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association.
Mapagpalang umaga sa ating lahat. Una sa lahat, nagpapasalamat ako sa Informa Markets for inviting me here, and again partnering with them in the staging of the third PROPAK na, no? We were partners actually during the first PROPAK here in the Philippines prior to the pandemic. Okay, I'm the president of Philippine Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association for 9 years now. And currently one of the executives of Pascual Laboratories Incorporated. Let me share with you first what PPMA is all about. PPMA was established in 1950. We are even older than the Philippine FDA. So kahit hindi pa nire-regulate dati, wala pang government agency na nagre-regulate ng pharma industry, ang Philippine Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association ay nandito na, at before nga we are partners with Bureau of Food and Drugs pa before, because we are providing technical services to them in ensuring the quality of the products we are manufacturing here in the Philippines, especially the pharma, by providing yung mga auditors na nag-audit ng mga planta at mga distributors and traders here in the Philippines. We have currently 72 members, and 42 of which are manufacturers, traders, and distributors of pharmaceutical products. We have also 30 associate members. These are suppliers of raw and packaging materials and other services that they are providing to related to the pharmaceutical industry. And as I said, we partnered with Informa Markets in 2019, initially with CPHI Southeast Asia, wherein we brought about 50 of our members to Thailand participating in CPHI, and we also visited some of the pharmaceutical companies there in Thailand. And in 2020, prior to the pandemic, the first PROPAK Asia. Okay, let me share with you the pharma industry here in the Philippines. Currently, in 2022, second quarter of 2022, MAT value is at 238 billion. It's more than 4 billion US dollar. And this is higher than the 2019 prior to the pandemic value of 212 billion pesos. We are the third biggest in the pharma sector in Southeast Asia, third to Indonesia and Thailand. But prior to the pandemic, we posted the highest growth in the pharma industry. And currently, we are second in Southeast Asia, averaging about 6 to 9% in growth. Okay, 67% of the market is ethical, and ito yung mga nire-reseta ng mga doktor, and 42% of which are on cardiometabolic segment. Ito yung mga gamot sa diabetes, sa cardiovascular diseases, and it is registering a comfortable growth. 33% of which is OTC, the over-the-counter, which includes the vitamins and minerals. If there is one positive impact of COVID, it was in the pharma industry. Lalo na dun sa supply ng mga vitamins and minerals, yung vitamin C, mostly for immune boosting management. So, in fact, for the vitamin C, siguro isa kayo sa nabiktima na wala nang mabilhan ng vitamin C sa merkado. And early this year, nagkaubusan ng paracetamol. Because of global supply. During the height of pandemic, the surge of the requirement is twice or even triple. Now the market is adjusting, medyo down versus last year, but compared with 2019, it's still a growth of about 30%. So if you measure it on a year-on-year, it's still higher than the world market growth of the pharma industry, and even the local pharma industry growth. About 32% of the pharmaceutical products being sold here in the Philippines are locally manufactured. Only 32%. It is unfortunate that 20 years ago, our share was 40%. But because of the thrust of the government before to favor importation, especially those coming from India and China, we're down to 32%. But it will change considerably in the next 10 years. 68% are imported. Actually, during my presentation in 2019 sa Philippine Congress, sabi ko sa kanila, I envy Indonesia. Because if you want to market your pharmaceutical products in Indonesia, you have to work with local pharmaceutical company. I envy Thailand because 85% of the pharma market are supplied by local manufacturers. And 80% of the government requirements they are getting from the local manufacturer. I envy Vietnam because from 2019, their target from the 50% share of the local manufacturer, their target in the next 5 years that will be in this 2023 is 70%. But what happened to our country? From 40%, it's down to 32%. In fact, I told the Congress, yung DOH itself ay kalaban naming local manufacturer, because instead of importing their products, getting their products from local manufacturer, they are getting it from India and China. Ano yung capability ng Philippine local manufacturer? We can manufacture oral solid dosages. These are the capsules, tablets, powders. Oral liquids and semi-solids. These are syrups, suspensions, creams, and ointments. Effervescents, high-end eardrops, small and large volume injectables, but not vaccine. We have world-class warehousing and distribution centers across the major cities in the country. We are capable of clinical and bioequivalence testing to ensure efficacy, safety, to ensure that yung produktong ginagawa natin ay comparable, especially the generic products. During the implementation of the generic law, it's only in the past 5 years na nagkaroon ng traction yung local generics na lumakas. And in fact, last September 28, nagkaroon tayo ng generic summit, which the thrust really of the government is to encourage using generics. Kasi dati sinasabi nila pag generics daw ay hindi kasing visa. So local manufacturers like us ensures that we pass the required clinical studies and bioequivalence. Ibig sabihin kung ano yung efficacy na requirement para sa gamot, i-ensure natin na equivalent siya. Yun yung tinatawag na bioequivalence. So kahit generic siya, kasing bisa ito ng mga tinatawag na innovator drugs. Kung sino yung nagtuklas ng mga gamot na yon, ng mga molecules na yon, pero sa mas mababang halaga. We are capable of research and development, especially on herbal drug products. When I was invited at DTI and interviewed by World Bank, sabi nila, ano yung competitive advantage ng local pharma industry? Because they were seeing 20 years back that it will be Philippines who will be number one in the biotechnology in Southeast Asia. But unfortunately, we were overtaken by Singapore, Thailand, and even Vietnam in the biotechnology. In fact, tayo lang doon sa Big Five ang walang sariling vaccine facility dito sa Southeast Asia. Okay. Sabi ko sa kanila, our competitive advantage is in the herbal drug products. Actually, it was Pasqua Laboratories who pioneered the Sambong and Lagundi, the ASCO, and now combined the herbal pharma is now valued at about 2 billion pesos. Okay? So it's a big industry and we are helping lots of farmers. So ito yung competitive advantage natin. Kung lalaban din lang tayo, dito na tayo mag-focus sa herbal drug products because yung 10 halamang gamot na pinupush ng DOST, lahat ng to ay dito tumutubo sa Pilipinas. And we will be helping lots of farmers. Okay. Ano ang opportunity for the Philippine pharma industry, especially for PROPAK and our allied members, the packaging industry, the printing, and the suppliers of equipment. Okay? Currently, we have a very strong government support, especially DTI. Grabe ang tulong sa amin ng Department of Trade and Industry. If there is one agency or department, government department in the Philippines na talagang nagko-collaborate with a lot of industries linking to the different agencies of the government, it is DTI. In fact, we are partnering with them in the crafting of integrated pharmaceutical roadmap. And then FDA, efficiency in the regulatory process. Ang laki na ng pinagbago ng FDA in the past 5 years. Previously, if you want to register your pharmaceutical product here in the Philippines, it will take you 2 to 3 years para makapag-rehistro. Development, even the ordinary drug products like mga generic products, takes 2 years kasi you have to ensure that it is stable for about a year, stability, real-time stability. And after that development of 2 years, maghihintay ka pa ng 3 years para doon sa registration. So 5 years bago mo ma-market ang produkto. It is easier to import products outside of the Philippines than manufacture it locally because of the inefficient regulatory process. But it changed now. Currently, ang experience namin, yung mga new registration inaabot na lang ng 3 to 4 months. And then yung tawag nito, yung mga renewal is used to be mga 6 months renewal pa lang yan, inaabot lang ngayon ng mga 1 to 2 months. With ARTA, for the removal of red tape, isa ito sa katulong namin para mapabilis yung proseso. And of course, the OST for the development of herbal products under the Tuklas Luna, especially focusing on the 10 halamang gamot. The implementation of Universal Healthcare Program. With 114 million Filipinos, only 1/3 of us have access to the right medicine. 2/3 ay ano na lang siguro water therapy, saka tapal-tapal na lang ng dahon sa noo. Okay? So, it's a huge potential for all of us. With the Universal Healthcare Program, the intention of the government is to provide not just healthcare services, but supply the needed medicine of our population. With only 32% of the population that have access to the right medicine, bringing it to 60%, it will double the volume of pharmaceutical products here in the Philippines. Okay. I am party to the joint memorandum circular for the establishment of Green Lane for local vaccine facility. And soon, in the next 3 years, I suppose we have our own vaccine facility here in the Philippines. In fact, we are also collaborating with the OST in the building of the Philippine Virology Institute, which is to be constructed by 2024. At ang pinaka-importante sa lahat, yung integrated pharmaceutical roadmap. The vision of which is by 2030, the Philippine pharmaceutical industry has a resilient and agile value chain that will ensure pharmaceutical security for Filipinos towards better health services. During the pandemic, it gave an opportunity for us to realize na kailangan palakasin ang local manufacturing. Nawalan tayo ng supply kasi karamihan ng mga gamot ay galing sa India and China. There was a point that India stopped exporting their products to the detriment of our patients. So that's the reason why right now we are expediting the implementation of pharmaceutical roadmap. The objective is from the current 32%, in the next 10 years, 60% na ang share ng local pharma industry. And then from the current 5% supply to the DOH to 50% in the next 10 years. So, what is the opportunity for PROPAK Philippines, for the supplier of packaging equipment, packaging materials? Imagine the implementation of Universal Healthcare Program. The volume of pharmaceutical product can easily double in the next 5 years. Na-reallocate lang yung budget during the pandemic para pambili ng vaccine instead of providing the needed healthcare services, including the supply of medicine to the 20 million poorest of the poor. Yun yung intention for the first 5 years, but it will push through starting this year. And then from the share of 32% to 60% in the next 10 years of local manufacturing. So it will triple or fourfolds ang increase ng volume ng manufacturing here in the Philippines. So ito yung oportunidad natin. We don't even have to export our products outside of the country. We just have to focus on supplying the local requirement. We have 114 million Filipinos. That's a huge market for us. So we can collaborate. Kanina nga, yung mga kasama ko dito sa table. Let's talk. Because we need to strengthen. Kung in terms of manufacturing, formulation, development, nandun na tayo. We have great scientists. What needs to be improved is the packaging. Napaka-importante ng packaging because it ensures the integrity of the product na kailangan in the next 2 or 3 years maging stable pa siya para pag ininom ng pasyente ay with same efficacy and safety kung kailan minanufacture ito. So, packaging will play an important role. And then, competitiveness. Because currently, most of our production lines are manumatic, semi-automatic. Okay? So, the reason why we are losing in the government bid, because napakamahal i-produce dito sa Pilipinas. We need to ensure efficiency. So, the packaging industry can help us a lot achieve this. Okay? So with that collaboration, we are seeing a brighter future for the pharma industry, especially the local manufacturing. Okay? So palakasin natin ang local manufacturing, tangkilikin natin ang local industry, ipagmalaki natin ang gawang Pilipino. Dahil tayo ay Pilipino, kayang tumapat sa buong mundo. Maraming salamat.